You ever hear of speed punks? There's a good chance you probably haven't, since it was a bit of an obscure racing game title for the PlayStation back in the day. But some people overseas may be more familiar with the title Speed Freaks, as it was originally called when it first released. But for this video, I'll be referring to it as Speed Punks. Speed Punks is a kart racing game made by Funcom in 1999, and what makes it stand out from the other kart racers at the time, aside from the kinda scary looking kids, is the fact that there's no karts in the game. Everyone just floats in the air with 4 wheels at their sides. But they do show in the opening cinematic that the karts might just be invisible. You know what else is in the opening cinematic? The song Traveling Without Moving by Jamiroquai. Yeah, not something you'd expect, huh? At the start of the game, you have a handful of mostly mean mug-faced kids to choose from, with some unlockable characters that you can get by completing the tournament mode. Their stats are categorized by weight, top speed, and acceleration. But there's also a fourth stat that you can only view in the game's manual called collision recovery. I think that and weight go hand in hand, because characters with a heavy weight class tend to have poor recovery. So, who among these punk freaks has the worst stats in the game? Well, I'm not sure. Anytime this game has been suggested for me to play, the request has been different. But the 3 characters I've been asked to play are Brains, Tempest, and Buster and Wedgie. Brains has one of the slowest speed stats in the game, but great recovery and acceleration. Tempest has high weight and top speed, but low acceleration. And Buster and Wedgie have almost identical stats to him, with a little extra weight. Since I could only choose one character, I put them all in the same time trial to see who would end up having the worst time. It was close, but Buster and Wedgie ended up being my choice, with their best time being 25:73. Brains got 23:93, and Tempest got 24:96. To further back up my choice, I came across this video on Speed Punks by We Knight, and in it, there's a section with a graph they created, showing each character's stats and how they measure up in game. And well, it seems as though despite their decent top speed, Buster and Wedgie's weight, acceleration, and low collision recovery put them at the very bottom. So now that we've come to this final conclusion, let's see if you can beat Speed Punks only using Buster and Wedgie. For this challenge, I'm going to try and complete all of the races in the tournament mode. I've also turned on gold wheels, which makes you and everyone else much faster. So I suppose it's kind of like this game's hard mode. I did give it a shot with normal wheels first, and it was way too easy, so I'm glad we have this here. I started with the easy tournament tracks, and it opens up with Shipwreck Shore. It's a simple track where you race around the beach, and of course, there's a ship that's wrecked ashore, which also doubles as a shortcut. Since there isn't a whole lot to talk about with this track, I'll explain some of the things that make Speed Punks unique. For starters, you've got your usual kart racing items, but you can actually stack some of them if you get the same item from a weapon box that you're currently holding. There's a short window after you run through an item box that'll show you what's next. So if the opportunity arises, you can stock up your ammo, or you can unload whatever you have quickly, and the next item will be yours. Aside from this, the 2 items that are worth mentioning that are a bit different from the norm are the Shockwave and Tire Pop. The Shockwave is a big rainbow that'll go through a large portion of the track, and slows down whoever touches it, and the Tire Pop is an item that'll inflate everyone but the user's tires, causing them to pop. But you can counter this by quickly tapping the acceleration button to deflate your tires, or by using a stealth potion. While there's no drift boosting, you can collect speed boost tokens to fill up your boost meter. You can use it whenever you want, but if you wait until it's completely full, you'll get an extra boost. That about covers it all, and it looks like I'm about to get 4th place, so let's check in on that. At least the points aren't, like, unholy. We got some. Oh my god, you have got to be kidding me! Why even give me points then? What's the point in having points if you're not going to let me move on? Oh yeah, there is one more thing. You have to place in the top 3 to advance to the next race, and you're only given 2 retries per tournament. What another lovely callback to Mickey Speedway USA. I quickly reset on my 2nd try out of frustration since I was pushed into the ship, and on my 3rd, I discovered that while there isn't a drift boost, drifting does increase your speed, as long as you don't run into green slime. In the final lap, I got hit with some rockets, pushing me out of 3rd place. But with my speed boost reserves and the shipwreck shortcut, I was able to walk away with a 2nd place finish. Things would take a dark turn in Neon City, and not just because it was a nighttime race, nor because I missed a ton of boost tokens, but while I was performing okay throughout the race, mostly staying within the top 3, I somehow plummeted all the way from 3rd to 5th, and then to 6th in the final lap. 6th? What is going on? I was so confused at the time, and what I didn't know was that when you enter this roundabout area, there's a shortcut that only opens up on the final lap on the left side. I had no idea this existed, and I couldn't even tell that there was a shortcut in general, because you're going so fast through here, and if you blink, you'll definitely miss it. Because I failed to qualify again, I was kicked out of the tournament and treated to a depressing endgame. You failed. So after placing second again in Shipwreck Shore, I made it back to Neon City. I missed the shortcut on my first try, then finally took it on my next one, which helped me get first place. The third track is in Millennium Park, and it also brings about some interesting things, one of which being that I was completely helpless in this race. Right from the start, everyone just kept a crazy pace ahead of me. I literally stood no chance, and they weren't even taking any shortcuts this time. To add insult to injury, when you're below third place and there's a crowd watching you, they boo you. Why are they booing me? That's so mean. Look at how far back I am. What the f happened? This was such a weird change up from Neon City, because Buster and Wedgie have decent top speed and are more than capable of keeping up with everyone. But looking on it now, I think this is where the effects of their poor acceleration begins to show. And if you let everyone get too far ahead, then catching up is gonna be a pain. I failed miserably on my first try, and it was almost the same for my second, if not for a few tire pop items I got that helped me catch up. But even those wouldn't be enough for me to make it through. Bro, I had it. It was right there. Oh, cool. And it gets to load up the podium ever so slowly, just to tell me that I failed to qualify again. To save myself the trouble of another view of the Blimp of Infinite Sadness, I went to the time trial mode to learn how to get through Millennium Park the proper way. Oh, and I also gave myself the initial sass. Gotta keep the YTP trend going. It started off with an accidental glitch through this wall, and after one lap in, I saw it. That suspiciously placed waterfall. What you're supposed to do is launch your way up to this platform after making this jump. It's easier with a speed boost activated, but you can do it without it too. This shortcut is essential to victory, unless you get real lucky with items. After getting that jump down a few times, I went to the final race in Thunder Trail, and practiced a little bit there too, just to better prepare myself for the next attempt. There is a shortcut here, but speaking as Future Ray, I believe that this is another one that only opens up on the final lap. When I was done racing around the jungle, I hopped back into the easy tournament. This time I got first place in Shipwreck Shore and Neon City, but when I got to Millennium Park, I choked too much while trying to hit the shortcuts, forcing 2 resets. I almost won on my second attempt, but after missing the shortcut in the final lap, I got caught out by the CPUs. I had it all, man. I had it all. Right at the end. What the f? I cleaned up on my third try and hit the shortcut in every single lap, snagging an easy first place finish. But even though I had enough points to not lose no matter where I placed, I still couldn't get below the top 3 in Thunder Trail. I fought the good fight throughout the jungle and volcanic hellscape, but I got hit by one too many items and consistently bonked this tree, which would be the cause of my final lap downfall. Oh my god, dude, the tree got me. The tree got me of all things, even though I'll have more points than anybody else. I should be on that podium. I had 33 points. Oh, look, it's the Blimp of Infinite Sadness. In my next few run-throughs, I had some trouble making it through Shipwreck Shore due to more perfectly timed attacks. Like, look at that! But first place would eventually find me again. Same in Neon City, but not Millennium Park. I got third there because of, oh, what do you know, another attack the moment I'm in the CPU's line of sight. Still, all I needed to do was place in the top 3 at Thunder Trail again, and this time, I had both retries ready if needed. Things were going roughly the same as they had before. Those items hit even harder when it takes forever to catch up to speed. But in the final lap, right before the finish line, I got a shockwave, and that just barely saved this run. Ooh, that's it. That's it. Barely. The Rainbow Cyclone got me. Now I can finally see what a victorious podium looks like. Me when they're mean to Wedgie and Speed Punks. At least I can gaze upon the Blimp of Infinite Happiness this time. The medium tournament is up next, starting with Silver City. It's another circular type track, but with a ton of boost pads. It also has some annoying turns. Buster and Wedgie already turned fairly wide, and in a few spots, it was hard to miss the walls and obstacles. By the final lap, I found myself in another spot where I had no chance to finish in the top 3. And it was the same for my next run through. I knew soon enough that this was going to be another track where I'd probably see see more success by using its shortcut. And while I hadn't found it yet, I did discover that you can restart the tournament, or league as it's called, and start at the beginning with your retries unaffected, so that was cool. With the league resets, I ran through this track a handful more times and could not locate the shortcut anywhere. I would be fortunate enough to finish in third after a while, so I thought I'd continue to see what's up ahead. The drift arena, oh boy, my greatest enemy. And it was Buster and Wedgie's too, because these guys cannot get through here with their wide turns and drifts. 30 seconds in, and I was already left in the dust, much like in Millennium Park. Oh, and there's a crowd here too, so the boos were loud and clear. This distance is actually just vile. I did discover where the shortcut was, and after coming close to being lapped on the second lap, I quit out of the tournament and went back to Time Attack to figure things out. I got to the shortcut and drift arena, but there was an issue. It's a very narrow path and easy to slide off of. The only way you're going to be able to make it through is to slow down when the turns need to be made. With these guys' low acceleration, I wasn't all too sure how that'd hold up in the next race. When I finished there, I set my sights on going through the rest of the tracks and finding their shortcuts too. And right before doing that, I discovered something oddly familiar with these two. Wait a minute. Now in Moonlight Cove, I drove around a bit looking for the shortcuts, and well, I found it, but I entered it through the exit. Despite the wrong way being flashed in my face, it kinda threw me off because at first, it looked like a branching path you could take between it and the beach. After further investigation, I found that the shortcut starts by cutting through these arrow signs, which then leads you into the cave. Then after taking a couple of laps in Sun Valley Drive, I used my Diddy Kong racing knowledge to deduce that the shortcut had to be through this waterfall, and sure enough, I was correct. So I quit out of Time Attack, completely forgetting about Silver City, and gave the medium tournament another shot. My first try back in Silver City was not a great one, but it was full of YouTube poop quotes. How can I calm down when there's a possibility that my daddy could become my father? Who wrote this? Who wrote this lol? Listen, you big-eared freer, you take your horny little ass, and you find Jeffrey, And then someone in chat finally led me in the right direction for this track shortcut. After exiting this tunnel, you have to make a sharp turn into the grass, which will skip the turn that I was having issues with, and will bring you to the end of the track. It may not look like it skips much, but it was super helpful. Using it, I was able to cut the line in the last lap and steal first. Then it was time to tackle Drift Arena again. I messed up the shortcut a few times on my first try back, and while I got it down on my second try, it wasn't as useful as I was hoping it'd be. As I feared, slowing down to make it all the way through was a big hindrance. Even getting a max speed boost at the end didn't help much. I held third place for a little bit, but quickly fell behind. This forced me to use my final reset, and I did even worse. It seemed like I was gonna have to hope for some item luck on this one. The CPUs are just straight animals on this track. After quitting out and skipping the disappointing blimp, I got first place in Silver City again, and was going through the same shit in Drift Arena. Except in the second lap, I got a few homing missiles. These helped me move into fourth place, and thanks to a CPU's convenient attack on third, I was able to snag that spot too, though I'd move back down shortly after the fourth lap started. No, you In the final lap, I was going through the shortcut and had a homing missile locked onto me, but because I was up and out of the way, it ended up striking third place instead. It was still a close one, but I managed to clutch it out and get away from this drifting arena from hell. I was more than prepared entering Moonlight Cove for the first time this tournament, especially since the shortcut doesn't involve much more than going through a small opening, which I definitely had no issues with. I kept up well with everyone, and almost finished out this race in first, but one rough turn in the final lap cost me the win, allowing Monty to cross the finish line ahead of me. This posed a slight problem. Monty was ahead by 5 points, and if he placed anywhere in the top 3, it was game over. Basically, I had to be first, and do whatever I could to slow Monty down in Sun Valley Drive. I was hopeful that the waterfall shortcut would do me right, but everyone stayed close together, and this race became a bloodbath. There you go, kill him! Why would you put that there? I know why you would, but why did you? I was moving all around in the standings and held second place in the final lap until a cheap bomb found itself in my way. I shook that off and reclaimed second, and right nearby the finish line, I got hit with another perfectly placed bomb. And who else would pass right by me but Monty? No! No! That killed my run, but I still had all my retries left. The second attempt was incredible. I stayed within the top 2 the whole race, with Monty almost nowhere in sight, until the last lap. Of course, Monty was trailing behind me, and I was doing whatever I could to keep him from passing. Little did I know, Monty had rockets up his sleeve. Wait, no, wait a minute. No way that just happened. And I don't even get to reuse my last retry. Highway robbery. Looking at this now, I would have lost anyway, since second place only gives you 7 points, and Monty would have ended with 32. But like, come on, that move right as I was touching the finish line was insane. I did get to see what a second place finish looks like, and it's strange how much more tame and wholesome it is than winning the whole thing. I wish I could have just left it at that for Wedgie's sake, but it just can't be like that. On my next attempt, I got first and third in Silver City and Drift Arena, then pulled off first place in Moonlight Cove, putting me slightly above Monty in the standings. My experience this time around in Sun Valley Drive was the exact opposite as before. After the third lap, I took first place and just stayed there. I don't know what caused this, but I was so far ahead that no one could touch me. This race concluded with me being the champion for the medium tournament, and now all that was left was hard. Not wanting to make the same mistakes thrice, instead of jumping into the hard tournament, I took my time and explored through each track beforehand. The skate park was more like a theme park than anything, but it did have a long half-pipe section, which you have to try your best to stay down the middle while going through it. That was probably the most annoying thing about this track. It was otherwise easy to get through, but after taking a few laps, I discovered that this is one of the only tracks, if the only one, that doesn't have a shortcut. I mean, you can move above the half pipe and drive on the grass, but I don't think that was intended. Gold City was pretty similar to Silver City in terms of aesthetics, but the gold one is a lot longer, and the paths branch out near the beginning. I didn't notice too much of a difference between the two paths, but the shortcut here skips nearly half the track. I just gotta be mindful of these guys' speed and handling to make it through. Grand Rapids is a lot different than I remember it looking, but it's another lengthy track, loaded with water hazards everywhere. I thought this big waterfall may have led to something, but it didn't. And a little after that, I came across this weird billboard. What the fuck is that guy? No clue who that's supposed to be, but they're definitely not in this game. Maybe some kind of mascot for the company? If anyone has any clue, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Grand Rapids shortcut is well hidden. You'd really think that it might be through one of the many waterfalls, but it's another one where you really gotta pay close attention to your surroundings. If you go through the track normally, you'll find an open space here that cuts through a little bit of the track, and right behind it is the start of the shortcut that's hidden by this tree. It's not very visible unless you really stop to take a look, and I'm glad I did. Now for the final track, Sunset Isles. It's a beach and volcano area with some more hazards that are easy for our boys to hit. Your turning really needs to be on point, especially if you're going through this segment in the volcano. Before leaving the volcano, you'll find a small opening, which is this track's shortcut, and it kinda sucks. When you jump off the cliff, you can easily hit this tree, which will change your direction and give you awkward momentum, making it difficult to pass through to the next lap. It could still be good to use, but we'll just have to see. After taking them through a couple laps, my boys and I were ready to tackle the hard tournament. For not having a shortcut, skate park surprisingly wasn't a track I ever fell too far behind in. I thought it'd be a tough one with the half pipe and no shortcut, but it all came down to the CPUs just being too good at the worst possible times. Wow. Punk. Speed punk. Fourth place again, dude. This. Look at that. Frames again. Why is it always right there? Stop hitting me there! After getting speed punked 3 times in a row on the final lap, I walked away with the second place spot and followed that up by getting first in Gold City, with all the thanks going to that stupidly busted shortcut. Grand Rapids wasn't off to a great start. I kept on bumping into things. Thankfully, the shortcut helped me move up after each passing lap, and thanks to some tire deflation in the final lap, I was able to cross the finish line in first. Going into Sunset Isle, I had a 5-point lead, meaning as long as I qualified within the top 3, this final tournament would be all mine. Sunset Isle was so easy thanks to that practice. From the 3rd to the 5th laps, I was well into the top 3 and had the lead in the last lap. Just as I was about to enter the final stretch of the volcano before the finish line, I got hit with a shockwave by Tempest, and right after that, I was hit with another shockwave, and right after that, I was pummeled with bullets. My next attempt was pretty rough. It was about half of me choking throughout the track, and the other half was more CPU stuff. Because of this, I was forced to use my final retry. One more shot shot to make it through, or else. And do you want to know what happened to me? Well, it began when I exited the first lap in the lead. I had a bad turn and Tabitha passed me. I quickly answered to that, but got hit with another shockwave. And after recovering, I stayed in the top 3 for the rest of the race and only had one more close call with Tempest before crossing the finish line. I gotcha. Bet you thought I was gonna fail and retry, right? Nope, you've been had. With the hard tournament now completed, you probably think that there's some kind of mirror mode, but this is actually it. No more tournaments left in the game. However, there is a challenge mode that was beckoning to me. You see, I may have done what I always do and had a complete save file laying around. This had all the characters unlocked, which you originally obtained by getting first in every single race in each tournament. Grinding for first in every single race sounded kinda annoying, and since I could access the challenges for each character in the bonus menu anyway, I felt like it was a fair trade-off. First up was Cosworth. His race is in Millennium Park. He's pretty quick, but not too hard to keep up with. Utilizing the shortcut made for an easy win. It's also nice that these races are only 3 laps, instead of the game's standard of 5. Then there's the Tetsuo challenge in Silver City. Poor guy didn't stand a chance. I'm pretty positive I could have won this even without the shortcut. All that leaves is the Beamer challenge at Grand Rapids. Beamer makes Cosworth and Tetsuo look like jokes. It hit a start boost, which I still had yet to do. Oops. And on top of being incredibly fast, it uses the shortcut too, so I really got my work cut out for me. But while Beamer is fast, it's not perfect. Sometimes it'll screw up and hit the wall by the shortcut, or will drive into the grass after passing through a lap. When it comes down to it, you have to start boost here. Failing to do so will surprisingly screw you more than you think. Along with that, you gotta play real well. Boost whenever you can, take the shortcut, and if you get it all down right, Beamer will become unlocked. All right. Woo! That was a little tougher than I thought it was going to be. Now with all the tournaments and challenges completed, I think it's safe to say that you can beat Speed Punks only using Buster and Wedgie. Thank you all so much for watching. Just based off of how gross the kids look on the front cover, I came in with low expectations. But I've grown to like all these Speed Punk freaks. They look way better in-game, and it's a solid racer that definitely deserved more love. Apparently, there was almost a sequel, but it ended up getting scrapped. Maybe it would have included this mystery character too. Suppose we may never know. As for Buster and Wedgie, they're definitely the worst compared to the other characters. The awful acceleration and handling made them real frustrating to play. Honestly, if not for the shortcuts, I may have had a much harder time with this. I can't imagine how I would have made it out of Millennium Park or Drift Arena. I'd say they're probably the best for unlocking Cosworth in the easy tournament, but then you can just swap to him afterward because he's way better. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, I stream all of my challenge runs live on my Twitch channel and here on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitch. The link to my Twitch channel, along with links to my other social media accounts, can be found in the description. If there's a challenge run you'd like to see, you can also check out the description for a direct link where you can submit your ideas. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video. My wife comes up to me, I tell you, my wife. She says, "Hey, Ray, you want to do a challenge run?" And I say, "It's already enough of a challenge being married to you."